2023, as many of you have already kind of referenced or perhaps uncovered or discovered, is a year of transition. And there's a number of astrological reasons for that, for 2023 being a year of transition. And so we're going to start with just that as we begin. It's a transition year because we have two main planets, Saturn and Pluto, moving into new signs. Saturn's ingress into Pisces is a little different from Pluto's in that Saturn will move into Pisces and stay there. Pisces itself being a mutable sign is a sign where things tend to be a little bit more in flux. So having a planet like Saturn in a mutable sign tells us that things are, there is movement, whether it's clear forward movement or things are just up in the air, perhaps remains to be seen. Pluto, of course, is only very momentarily and very briefly moving into Aquarius this year in 2023. And it will in fact take Pluto almost 2 years to settle permanently into Aquarius. And so 2023 and 2024 both have these themes of transition as we are working through the end of Pluto in Capricorn and the start of Pluto in Aquarius. And planetary cycles, as you may have discovered over your time working with astrology, they don't go off and on like a light switch. They kind of fade in and fade out. And so 2023 and 2024 are fade in and fade out years for Pluto. The one other cycle that I think indicates 2023 is perhaps about transition or even a little bit about preparation is that we do have Jupiter coming into Taurus, which I'm going to speak a little bit about today, which just quick side note, I think is going to be a really lovely cycle. However, in 2023, Jupiter in Taurus is kind of laying the groundwork for the most significant thing that Jupiter in Taurus will do, which is make a conjunction to Uranus. And that happens in the April-May 2024 period. So it's important to understand that as we contemplate the cycles that start activating our charts and our lives, society and culture in 2023, that we understand these are cycles, particularly with Saturn and Jupiter, but also to an extent with Pluto. These are cycles that indicate the beginning of new things, new timelines of various lengths. And so the resolution or the culmination or the main event of those cycles is not necessarily what's on the cards in 2023. When we're transitioning from one cycle to another, we're often having to deal with the things that need to be finished from the previous cycle. And then we begin the engagement and connection and contemplation process of what the new cycle might require from us. And that's where we're at this year. That's where we kind of start. The quote that I want to use as our guide is one that I did use in a recent timing course. So some of you this will be familiar to, and some of you who are joining us in our exploration of 2023 for the first time, this might be a new quote for you. And this quote is, "There are years that ask questions and years that answer." And I actually think the next couple of years, 2023 and 2024, are asking a lot of questions. They're raising a lot of issues and topics. They're bringing a lot of things up for examination and exploration. But I don't know that we necessarily get loads of answers this year or even next year. I wanted to start by doing a very broad overview of 2023. And I'm hopefully going to try and do this in a succinct way so we can get into some of the details. But in this piece, where our intention today is to take a look at the lay of the land over the next year, I wanted to give you a sense of some of the months where there are significant things going on and perhaps the tone or the tenor of different periods in the year ahead. January and February very much are continuing themes from 2022 and even earlier. Saturn remains in Aquarius. Pluto is wrapping up its time in Capricorn. Mars is still in Gemini, where it's been for about 6 months, 7 months. And so the early part of 2023 is the continuation of cycles and themes that have been running and in play already. And that means that January and February, for the most part, is about dealing with unfinished business, closing down longer cycles, and wrapping up things that have been pressured or challenged or required your attention for some time. It's really in March of 2023 that we start to see the new cycles kick in. So I know the calendar has ticked over to 2023, but in terms of a cyclical reset or a cyclical fresh start, it's March that we're looking for that. March is important because we have 3 planets changing signs, which means the end of both a short, a medium, and a longer term cycle in March. The short cycle that's ending and changing in March is Mars leaving Gemini. Mars has been in Gemini since August of 2022, and that period of time has been perhaps dramatic or chaotic or really busy and frenetic, whatever it has been for you, that is ending in March. Mars will move into Cancer and on to new projects, new themes, new topics. March is also when Saturn changes signs, leaving Aquarius and moving into Pisces. Now, it's always important when Saturn changes signs. We know that does create a structural reset for us in our lives and in society. What's a little bit unique about this particular Saturn ingress or sign change is that for the last 5 years, since December of 2017, Saturn has been moving through first Capricorn and then Aquarius, which are both signs where Saturn has great dignity. And we might say that in this last 5-year period, we've had perhaps an excess of Saturn, of rigidity, of fear, of containment, of limits and rules and regulations. Different iterations. Saturn in Capricorn feels different from Saturn in Aquarius, but it has been a lot of Saturn doing really definitive, clear Saturn things. So whether that's been heavy, whether that's been morose or melancholy, whether that has been restrictive, clarity is something that Saturn transits do often bring us. We see things clearly. We see things in their kind of most fundamental, foundational way. So Saturn leaving Aquarius and moving into Pisces is not just the kind of standard 2.5-year Saturn sign change shift. It does bring us out of a very unique part of Saturn's cycle and out of that Saturn rulership place. So Saturn into Pisces is it's a big shift in March. And then, of course, the other one is Pluto into Aquarius. Now, in Pluto into Aquarius is important to note. I'm going to talk a little bit about some of the themes and topics, but 2023 is not the year where we're getting full force Pluto in Aquarius. We just have Pluto in Aquarius for 3 months this year, and we have Pluto in Aquarius for about 8 months in 2024. And it's at the very end of 2024 that Pluto will permanently settle into the sign of Aquarius. So that's where we're getting that sense of the transition begins, but it takes time. If any of you have ever worked on big projects to do with your home or living situation or in a work or a corporate environment, sometimes these larger undertakings take up a lot of our energy and time over an extended period. And so that's part of what this transition is about. We're sort of straddling the things we need to finish from the old and the new things that we're trying to research and prepare and organize. So March is the major month to watch. I think it's actually the signature month of the whole year. And after March, we enter this very unique window. So from sort of March, April, May, and June, then we've got Pluto in Aquarius. We've got Saturn settling into Pisces. Jupiter also changes signs in that window. May of 2023 is when Jupiter changes signs, leaving Aries and moving into Taurus. And so April, May, June is when we're kind of settling into the new iterations of Saturn and Jupiter, and we're getting a taste or a preview of Pluto in Aquarius. It might be a little bit mind-bending or mind-opening, but in June, Pluto in Aquarius retrogrades back into Capricorn. And so the second half of the year then brings us into a return to the Pluto and Capricorn cycle, but an exploration, going a little bit further with Saturn in Pisces and Jupiter in Taurus. July is an important, interesting month because we will have the nodes change signs then. So the North Node will move out of Taurus and into Aries, and the South Node will leave Scorpio and move into Libra. The other thing that happens in July is what I think is the second kind of signature event of 2023, the Venus retrograde in Leo begins. So Venus will be retrograde in Leo from July 22nd through to September 3. So July is when we have another couple of important shifts. And then September to December, we've got Venus will station direct in early September. The nodes are settling into their new signs. And September, October, November, December kind of settles us in to the nodal placements, connecting further with the Saturn and Jupiter, and doing a lot of that winding down, or that what I call conscious closure of Pluto in Capricorn. So that's just very broad, kind of hitting some of the highlights, the key dates, the months to watch for the year ahead.